We just witnessed the greatest animated fight scene in Isekai history. I'm sure many of you were absolutely overwhelmed by the fight between Kurgan and Garfiel, and the animation was 10 out of 10. The OST was 10 out of 10. ReZero is the best Isekai anime. In fact, you could make the argument that ReZero is the best anime of all time. I can't believe the visuals, the soundtrack, the fluidity, the camera angles. Like, it was unreal how amazing this episode was. The fight scene was spectacular. And not only the Garfiel and Kurgan fight, the Aldebaran and Capella fight also had some interesting dynamics with the way the characters interacted. Now, the reason because of the amazing animation is apparently due to the fact that a very prominent and famous animator called Vincent Chanzard was working on this ReZero episode. Apparently this animator also works on things like Jujutsu Kaisen or One Piece, and this individual also worked on the Kurgan and Garfiel fight, which is the reason why the animation was so spectacular as well. So it just goes to show that when you have such an amazing animator working on like One Piece and Jujutsu Kaisen, and then now working on ReZero, it just goes to show what an amazing show ReZero is, that these world-class animators want to actually work on it. But I'm sure we can all agree the fight was amazing. Now, I do want to sort of point out something. The reason why Kurgan sort of just broke apart is because Garfiel did bite his neck and sort of like gouge him out, which was essentially like a one-shot kill. Now, I understand some people might be wondering why is it Garfield's getting absolutely banged up and he always gets back up? And that's because Garfield is sort of like this shonen protagonist. Kind of funny because a master animator from Jujutsu Kaisen and One Piece, which are, you know, shonen shows, is working on this ReZero fight. But the reason is because Garfield has a divine protection, which essentially means that when his feet is on the ground, he essentially gets healed by the earth. And so Garfield has a lot of stamina and he has a lot of insane regeneration. And so even if he gets bloodied and bruised, he can pretty much heal himself, or he can use his divine protection to automatically heal. And he's got so much stamina that he could pretty much do non-stop physical activity and he'll never get tired. So that's the reason why Garfield can sort of get knocked to the ground, his teeth can get broken, and they'll literally regrow instantly. That's how insane his regeneration is. Not as good as, say, like Capella, but it's really, really fast. And that's the reason why he can get battered and bruised and get back up again over and over again. Moving on to Capella versus Aldebaran, this sort of shows how Aldebaran fights. He's really tactical with his scenery. You can see him sort of darting behind pillars and like decapitating Capella. This is how he fights. He's quite tactical. He uses earth spells, so Dona, to his advantage to block attacks or to attack people and catch them off guard. Now what's really interesting is the sort of exchange that Capella and Al have. You can see, of course, Al is of course quite sarcastic when he talks. He's similar to Subaru. He pokes fun at his opponent. However, what's really interesting is when Capella is transforming into Priscilla, and you can see that Capella is a bit angry that Aldebaran doesn't like her, and that makes sense because Capella is someone that believes that love is superficial. You only like someone because of how they look. There's nothing more deeper than that. But even though she takes the appearance of Priscilla, Aldebaran rejects her. And so Capella doesn't really understand that because, again, she only believes that looks is what makes love love. And because she doesn't understand that, she gets enraged and she attacks Aldebaran, who of course counters her attack. So it shows that Aldebaran is quite the combatant. Moving on to the Lai Battenkaitos and Otto fight. I'm pretty sure everyone realized that Otto would not defeat Lai using some lizards. And of course with Chekhov's gun activated, which is of course Felt running away to go get this meteor, which is apparently so powerful that even Reinhard would be damaged by it. It's obvious that this is going to be one of those sort of conditional things where they have to survive until Felt comes back. Now what's really interesting is that Lai Battenkaitos mentions someone called Rui, And the question is, who is this individual? Who is Rui? Have we seen them before? I guess we're going to have to wait and find out. I do want to dart back to the Garfiel and Kurgan fight, because I don't know why, but what I've seen, especially as I make rezero videos, usually episodes or videos I make about Garfiel don't really do well. I feel like most people don't really like Garfiel, so whenever I make a video about him, it doesn't really perform well, so it's such a shame because he's one of my favorite characters. But we actually saw a lot of his character development in this episode. Initially, he was, of course, sort of traumatized by the visions of Elsa, because of course you need to realize, like, Garfiel is a young boy and he killed Elsa when he doesn't really want to kill people, and that's shaken him to his core. And so when the demonic beasts were like attacking him, he was sort of like stunned, paralyzed. And we see that Kurgan was the person that killed the beasts, which actually shows a bit of something. Kurgan is a warrior, he is honorable, and so the fact that these demon beasts were coming in between his fight and Garfiel, he's like, nope, that's not going to happen. I'm just going to kill these trespassers and we're going to resume our fight. We even saw this when Garfiel was knocked underground and he's waking up and Kurgan's just like standing there watching. You know, Kurgan is someone that respects his opponent. And this is something you do see in sort of the Valachian country. This idea, you know, strength is what people care about in Wallachia. And Garfiel is strong. Again, something people don't understand is Garfiel is one of the strongest characters in the series. He's one of the elites, even though he's only like, you know, 14 years old or so. And we see Garfiel overcome not only his trauma of Elsa, when he of course stabs the demonic beast and kills it, he also earns the worthiness from Kurgan, because Kurgan brings out his cleavers and fights Garfiel. So you need to realize that Garfiel's a young boy, and he beats in a 1v1 one of the legends of Wallachia. That's how strong Garfiel is. Okay, now yes, Kurgan is a bit weakened because he's resurrected, but it just goes to show how strong Kurgan is as a character and how strong, of course, Garfiel is. Now, for those that don't know, Kurgan actually died to Regulus quite some time ago. This is actually mentioned briefly in season 1, at least in the light novel it is, where they talk about the Sin Archbishops, and Julius talks about how Regulus, the Sin Archbishop of Greed, went to the city of Garkla and killed a lot of people. And one of the people that Greed killed was Kurgan. And so Kurgan has shown up here as a sort of resurrected zombie, and Garfiel has just like one-tapped him in the neck with his bite attack. So it just goes to show like how strong Garfiel is, and that there is foreshadowing in the series that you may not have known just by watching the anime. So ReZero does interweave these sort of plot points, okay? And so things like Felt running off to get the meteor, Battenkaitos mentioning Rui, Aldebrand talking about your stars or my stars being bad. Of course, this is Tape name dropping things for the future. It's sort of foreshadowing. Either way, this episode was a 10 out of 10. I don't think anything can top this episode when it comes to fighting, but we'll see where it goes. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you learned something new, and like and subscribe.